Welcome everybody, and welcome back to Forward Operating Base Lake Fork. I'm Greg Hill. I'm the host of your fishing show today. Hey, you can see it's a beautiful day out here on Lake Fork. It's one of those very early spring days. You know, it's the first week of February, but we get days like this where you've got a really sunny day. And what I'm going to talk about in a fishing report is, you know, what I'm kind of looking at these pre-spawn fish. I'm going to talk about a couple things today. I'm talking about just the pre-spawn in general. I'm going to talk about how you can use your electronics to help find these areas, even if you don't have the live scope system like I have. There's a way to help you. You know, your side imaging can help you really find some of these guts. And then I'm going to talk about obviously the baits and what I've been doing and looking at the fishing. So look, you know, some days you get these sunny days and then you get these real cold days. Look, I had a great day yesterday. Yesterday I caught 2 fish that I registered in the Share-Lunker program, you know, but it was cold and rainy, so I really worked for them, but the fish were still biting. And you know, one of the things I really like about fishing out here in this early February, even January and early February time frame, is the fact that there's not very much pressure out here on the lake. Yesterday was a cold day. Today, look, it's totally different. I had 4 layers on today and rain gear and bibs, but here I've just got a light jacket and some thermals, and I'm feeling pretty good. It just shows you how this pre-spawn fishing can really just be based on, you know, every day's weather. Even yesterday I was catching about 7 feet. Now today they're a little shallower. This little gut I'm fishing in is in a 6 foot deep, but we'll get to that. So hey, I'm going to talk about first just the pre-spawn, what's going on. So when you think about the pre-spawn, you know, look, I'm a retired Marine and I was in the Army before that as a paratrooper. So I backwards plan to try to find these pre-spawn fish. So we know where they're going to end up, right? We know they're going to end up on a bed up in this cove, in this grass, you know, or near some stump. We know they're going to end up there. So what I'm trying to do is backward plan from that spot out to wherever they are. So that's what I'm doing. I know where they're going to be when they're spawning. I'm looking at these areas that, you know, but I know where they are now. I mean, I fished here for a bunch of years, you know, since 2000. So, you know, look, I'm looking for these guts that come out from these spawn areas. I'm following out, seeing if I can find some kind of structure on those guts or on those ditches and on those little creek lines that run up into these spawning areas. Look, you know, they come up in these creeks and then they fan out into the spawn area to kind of find their best place. So, you know, they're not only in those places during the spawn, but now I think they're kind of still working their way through these creek lines to get to these areas. And could there be some fish up here, you know, doing it? I'm looking at the water temperature right now. It's 49 degrees. It was 48 yesterday, so it's gone up about a degree since yesterday when it was cold. That's just the difference. You know, it's in the afternoon here, so we're getting a chance to really get some heat on the water and get a chance to, you know, to kind of see it. So pre-spawn, backward plan from the areas that you've been catching spawn fish on. If you've got a map, go to a map and look for those spawn areas on the map, and then basically come out from, just look at it and see if you see any creeks, see if you see any kind of gut ditches or anything like coming out of those areas. And that is a great place to go look. You know, in this spot right here, you can't see it because I can't show you backwards, but what I did was, there's a 6 foot ditch that goes up into this little cove. It comes out and it comes back out into this bigger part of the cove that I'm on. Now what I do is I'm bringing myself up into this actually where the ditch is, almost in the middle of it, and I'm putting the power poles down. So I'm casting up into it one way, I'm actually casting out into it the other way. Now the fish I just caught was off to the side of it on some stumps that was there. So you know, let's talk about this. You know, I'll get to that when I talk about more specific baits and everything. But just thinking about the pre-spawn, backwards plan from where you're catching these fish, and then hopefully you're going to, you know, get to that point. Now what I talked about using your electronics. So electronics, look, I've got live scope system and it helps me out a lot, but you know, I don't see every fish I catch. I just use it to locate the areas and kind of really isolate the fish. You know, I can pick apart cover and see if I really want to fish or not with that. Your side imaging though can be something that really helps you out. On the front of my boat, keep my side imaging on all the time. Now remember, it's not coming from the boat, it's coming from the front, it's coming from the back of the boat. It's networked. But I can continuously be looking down the area of the bank off to the side to see if I see any ditches that lead up in these areas. So you can go down the bank on your trolling motor, you know, you have your down imaging shooting down, you have your side imaging shooting out the side, but make sure to keep that side imaging up on the front with you. Make sure you're seeing it out to the side. You know, make sure you want to see it. And I have it going both ways usually. Sometimes I'll isolate it and put it to one way or the other, but I usually have it going both ways because I'm looking to see how this ditch or this creek line plays out as my boat crosses it. Like now I was coming down this area and I could see it. I mean, I've fished here before, so I know it's here, but if I came down this bank with my boat, at some point I cross over this ditch and I would see it on my side imaging. And that would clue me in that knowing that that's a spawning area, knowing this ditch is a little deeper water feeding up the area, would be a pretty good place to, you know, to spend some time fishing. So, you know, look, so what am I fishing with? So I'll first talk about just, you know, hey, the last couple days. I mean, look, I've been fishing, been catching some good fish. It's cold and you catch fish. It's warm and you catch fish. You know, there's windy and you catch fish. It's you know, it's pretty much calm today. I mean, we have like a 4 or 5 mile an hour wind. Sorry, today. But you know, in the coves that I'm fishing in, it's pretty calm, so it's not really a factor. The wind hasn't been a factor. I've been kind of isolating my baits down into some search baits and basically some slow moving baits, just depending on the cover that I'm at. You know, looking, I haven't really been fishing in the grass at all. I'm mostly fishing wood structure on these creeks. Really the sweet spot for me to find something on this little creek line or this little gut is if I find a gut and I find some kind of lay down timber on it. I see it has some type of, you know, log that's fallen over, some kind of branches that are down there piled up, brush pile or something. And you can see that on your side imaging. So get your side imaging, see if you see the guts, see if you see that little tree falling down it, and mark it, and then go back and fish it. Because, you know, look, that is a place that the fish will just hang up onto. It's just like if you and I were walking down a sidewalk and there was a bunch of, you know, branches there. We'd have to pause there at least for a little bit to figure out how we're going to get around it. We might just hang out there and kind of take a look at it, who knows. But the fish kind of just hang in those areas, and they're going to at least hang up for a while. So it's a spot that kind of stops them when they go back and forth along this gut. But look, I'm throwing a bunch of different baits. I'm throwing crankbaits, jigs, jerk baits, swimming jigs, chatterbaits, spinner baits. So I pretty much got everything laid out here, I think, except for the spinner bait, but that's okay. Look, you know, look, the fish, one of the fish I caught up, it choked up a good 5 to 6 inch gizzard shad on it. So that's what they're eating. So my crankbaits, even though this crankbait is not as large of a body profile, I'm still catching big fish on this thing. This is, you know, look, I don't talk about specifically, you know, the baits unless it's obviously, but I'm looking, this is a flat-sided crankbait, kind of a, you know, basically just like a square bill, gets good reflection, you know, good deflection off the wood. And I'm using this one dives about 8 to 9 feet, maybe 10 feet deep. And then I'm kind of getting down to the bottom. You know, the fish are been between that 7 and 10 foot range. They're a little shallower today, but look, this is the bait that I'm throwing. It looks like a shad. So there's a lot of crankbaits that look like shad. You can choose which ones that you like to throw. Another one of the search baits that I'm working, and let me just go back to the crankbait for a second. Now, look, because I have a live scope system and I can see what's going on with the fish sometimes, they're hitting it at a very slow retrieve. It's not a reaction bite for me, at least right now. I'm banging it against a pea and I'm pausing it. I'm digging it in, I'm pausing it. I'm almost moving it and pausing it. I'm digging it down and hitting it and pausing it. I've been getting most of those bites on the pause. They have not been hitting it while it's moving, really. It'll bounce off something, I'll pause it, bounce off, and I'll pause it. That's where I'm getting hit. So it's been a slower bite right now. It's probably because of the cooler temperatures. You know, look, if you go see some of these gizzard shads swimming around, you know, I fish at nighttime. A lot of you guys that see my videos see that I fish at night. You'll see this gizzard shad. They're just swimming around this nice, slow circle. They're not running around real quick. I don't see any just huge chasing of the fish. I think those gizzard shad are just swimming around slow. Their metabolic rate is real slow now also because it's so cold. And these bass are just swimming up behind them and taking them as they're swimming slow. So I think that's why. So, you know, look, when I get to more of a spot place where I'm looking at, you know, I'm fishing a lot of out, you know, creek turns, right, outside edges of it where there's some tree stumps. All the dirt's rotted out from underneath of it, and so, you know, washed out from underneath it, and so there's a bunch of roots and everything there. This is this jig, which is basically a blue and purple jig, 1/2 ounce. It's a swim jig but you know, I swim it and I also hop it off the bottom. Now I got a purple, like a June bug color trailer on it, and this trailer is, you know, look, it's more like a, I don't know, it could look like a crawfish, it could look like a bluegill, you know, depending on the side, but they've been hitting it when I'm hopping it. You know, it's hitting on the hop. I got hit on the hop, I got hitting on the drag, a real slow drag, but I haven't had any hit it just when it's just sitting still. It's I haven't had them like pick it up off the bottom with a pop. It's more been like I've hopped it and they've hit it. It's more like I'm dragging it and then they hit it. So I haven't had the bites where you're just kind of move it sitting there, wait, you know, while I mean, I've had some jig casts last 5 minutes before. I love jig fishing, and but that's the kind of jig I'm throwing for the most part. Now I'm throwing a big black and blue one also. I throw a couple different jigs. That's just the one I've got on right now. Okay, next, a good search bait for this time period, because you can work it slow, is just a swim jig with a nice pearl white trailer on it with a kicker tail. This bait is a versatile bait. If I had to pick one bait to throw, this is one of the baits I would really consider. You know, I can throw this in the grass, I can throw it near the wood, I can throw it shallow, I can throw it deep. And because I know they're hitting these bigger gizzard shad, this bait really kind of fits the size profile of what they're looking for. So, you know, take a look at that one. Again, it's just a white jig, white silver jig with a you know, kind of a white trailer. And when I'm throwing that, it's the same thing. Now I'm throwing that out and just reeling it in slow and then stop it. I let it sit on the bottom for a second and I'm reeling it in slow. I'm reeling it slow. Sometimes I'm reeling it fast enough. I don't even know if the tail's kicking. I think on the bottom it's kicking up a little mud trail maybe on the bottom through some of the stuff, and the fish are coming through and picking it up. Now when I'm praying it through the brush, I'll just keep a nice easy reel to it, is hitting the brush. You don't want to let this jig kind of turn sideways. You want it to kind of, these brush guards need to protect it. It gets turned sideways. Sometimes that's when it hits down and it gets the hooks at end. Don't let it turn sideways and lose too many jigs out there. Look, you can't say too much, you know, really. I don't have my spinnerbait on, but look, a spinnerbait and a bladed jig. Same thing. It's a Chartreuse Weiss bladed jig, and just a little kicker tail on it from Lake Fork Lures. And then look, the bladed jig is another great bait. I think it's kind of helped replace the spinnerbait a lot. Look, I've been fishing for a long time. I love a spinnerbait, so I still throw both of them. I throw the spinnerbait and I throw the bladed jig. If you guys were looking at my video back in the fall, you can see that throwing a big spinnerbait deep and slow rolling it is one of my favorite things to do back in these trees, in these submerged trees. And I catch a lot of great fish. You know, I had a really nice Sherlunker I put on into the system. But look, the bottom line is that, you know, coming out here in early February, you're definitely looking at the pre-spawn fishing, I think. You know, some people go off to the lakes where they're already catching post-spawn fish, you know, out at some of the power plant lakes. You know, they've already been through their spawn. Now it's kind of pushing in here to Lake Fork. So look, I've got dates open. I've got dates open in February, March, and April. Fewer in March. I got more in April and still some in February. But I got to tell you, I love fishing in February. I would love to get more people out here fishing in February with me. And if you get a chance and you got some time and you want to come out and do some fishing, please go to my website. Look, go down there and like my YouTube channel, like my Instagram, and like my Facebook if you want to get updated. You know, now that the season's kicking in again, my fishing reports start coming on a weekly basis again. I kind of took a little bit off for the winter and didn't do too many fishing reports because, you know, there's just not a lot of people out here fishing that want to come out in the freezing weather now. You guys saw the picture of me fishing in the snow. And I'll flash it up at the end of this thing, but look, I fished, you know, I'm a fishaholic, so I fish in the snow, and I only had one bite that day. It was a good sized fish on a jerkbait, but look, it got off at the boat, and I got to tell you, I wasn't really concerned about it. I did fail to mention one thing on my jerkbait, and that is, if you can look real closely here under the bottom side of the jerkbait, right now I've got suspend strips on the jerkbait so that it's not really floating up at all. You know, I'm working it down. It helps me get it down. It helps me get this bait down into the 7-8 foot range easier, and I can just work it through that water column. And that's what's happened. I'm moving it real slow, and you'll see the fish react to it. Now I'll move it real slow, and they're kind of hitting it after I do the jerk. it's kind of falling down, that's when they'll pop it a lot of times. So, you have to play around with it at the time. Is it 1 second to 5 second pauses? I don't know. Depends on the action of the fish. The bottom line is, it's a great time to come fishing out here at Lake Fork. Look, before we end up, I have to talk about some sponsor stuff real quick, and just kind of to get some names out there. Look, Temple Fork Outfitters are all the rods you see here on this deck, and Quantum fishing reels are all the reels you see on this deck. I've been using those using Quantum products probably since the time I was 3 years old. I'm happy to be on their ambassador staff. And same thing with Temple Fork Outfitters. I'm proud to be working with them. They're great people. They've helped me out. It's a Dallas company. It's a local company here. If you ever have a problem with the rods, you can basically go in and take it in and get the warranty, or call them and they'll mail you something and fix it up. But some of you guys that fish the Skeeter tournaments, you'll know that Temple Fork Outfitters, you can sometimes get those rods at the Skeeter owners tournament. And that's how I got introduced to them. I hadn't used them before until I got it, and I really loved them. So now, look, I'm fishing with them exclusively. I've got 1 or 2 Quantum rods that are left over from my earlier Quantum rods, because they got a little less play and they're really flexible. But look, I'm really happy to be out here fishing right now. I'm really glad to get a chance to share all this information with you. If you have any questions about anything you've seen on my video, or anything you have a question about just fishing out here at Lake Fork or fishing in general, let me know. Look, I'm a technical fisherman. I'm really good with the live scope system. I'm really good with my electronics. Some people I know need some help kind of learning their electronics and learning how to set them up. If you want to, call me. I'll help you out, do it. I don't charge too much to do it. I do it on an hourly basis, and if you have the time and you want to come out here to Lake Fork, or if it's not too far away, I can even drive somewhere to help you out with that. But look, using your electronics to find fish can really help your fishing day. You can really basically cut a lake into pieces and not spend the time fishing at a spot that doesn't have fish. Your side imaging is very effective, and if you learn how to use it well, it can really help you find the fish. Down imaging also, but the side imaging to me was just one of the best things that happened in a long time. And then the live scope came along and just kind of helped me really pick apart a piece of cover and see if I wanted to fish it after I found it with my side imaging. So I guess that's it for right now. Again, it's the end of the first week in February. I've been catching some great fish. I'm gonna put some pictures of those fish on there. If you guys want to come out and schedule some fishing, remember, I've also got my Airbnb at Lake Fork Hideaway. So you go to Airbnb, look for Lake Fork Hideaway, you'll see it. I think it's the best place on the lake in the price range. And it's a custom built carriage house that sits on 4.5 acres. What else could you want? And it's right on the main lake point. It only takes a couple minutes to get out in the boat lane, from here at the property. So go to my Facebook page, basically, Forward Operating Base Lake Fork. Hit my website, www.foblakefork.com. And I'm really looking forward to meeting you. I'm really looking forward to taking you fishing. It's a great day to be out here fishing, and man, I just can't I can't say too much, for I'm being blessed to be out here and do it. So you guys take care, and whoa, this one is taking some serious line. Whoa. Holy jeez. Oh. Okay. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is a big one. Oh my gosh. I can't stop him. He pulls some serious line. Oh man, this is a big one. I gotta get the net. Barely hooked. Okay. I gotta get the net. Oh my gosh. Oh, come on, don't jump, don't jump, don't jump, don't jump. Don't jump. Come on, hold on. Okay. Oh, come on. Oh. Yes. Oh. That is a pig. Woo. Oh boy. Holy cow. Oh. Okay. Woo. Man. He is, that's got to be close to another over. Oh my goodness gracious. That one hook just almost, woo! Look at that baby. That big crankbait fish. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my gosh, look, that hook just barely just came right out. Get this baby measured. Okay, man, I just caught that great fish on a jig. He got my trailer, so I'm gonna put a trailer on. I'll take a chance to show you guys what it is. This is just a 1/2 ounce swim jig. You can see the nose on it. You know, I'm working off the bottom. You can swim it or pump it off the bottom, but it kind of stands up. But you know, it's a purple blue color. It's got some blue and purple flake into it. And the same exact thing with a trailer. Got this purple and blue trailer. And it's just a Strike King. It's just a Strike King trailer. It's called a rodent. This is June bug. I mean, you can throw all kinds of stuff. You know, the colors do make a difference, but you know, it's not the most important thing in the world. I think a lot of times it's the presentation and having it there. But that's what I'm doing with it. And I do use scents, so I do put the scent onto the bait. I believe it either covers up my scent that I might get on it from having my hands touching something, or itself is an attractant. They get close enough and they commit to it. So look, what were we doing? I was doing exactly what I said when I would get over here. There's a 6-foot ditch gut that runs up in this little cove. This tiny little cove. It doesn't stick out on anything. I don't even know it's on a map. But they spawn inside there, so they're kind of running inside this gut right now. There are some tiny little schools of gizzard shad up in there also. So they're not large schools, they're tiny schools of them, but they are in the 3 to 4 inch range. And I think that's what these females are in here feeding on. They're feeding on them, trying to get fat, trying to produce their eggs, getting ready for the spawn. You know, we're only about a week and a half, you know, maybe for the first full moon. So, you know, theoretically, could be males up here starting to get on a nest here pretty soon. So it's a great fishing out here. I'm going to finish up some fishing here, but I will talk more about my fishing report. But I just kind of want to talk specifically about how I caught that fish. So, hey, I'm going to get back to some fishing.